The president of France, Macron, says that he is going to address the Yellow Vest protesters this week. He was going to do it last week. The cathedral burned down. He had to postpone it a week. And then I realized something. A lot of people don't know that the Yellow Vest protests are still going on in Paris, France. You've got thousands of people in the capital, the most important city in the country, smashing windows, burning cars, fighting against riot police, looting, pillaging, whatever. That's been going on for 5 months, and I imagine probably a lot of Americans don't know anything about it. They probably don't even know it's still going on if they heard about it maybe months ago when it first started. And I think that's deliberate. I think that's intentional. Because as we forge ahead here in our country the way it is, and we see that Donald Trump is not going to get the job done, not going to happen. He wins re-election, yeah, okay. Even if he doesn't, he's not going to get the job done. I think you can look at the Yellow Vests and say that's really the only course of action that a minority, or soon-to-be minority, like white people, or minority in terms of media, financial, and other power, can take. What else are we going to do to get the message through people's heads that this is not acceptable? I don't think anything else is going to work, because this is the modus operandi. Christians get killed, right? Or there's some horrible tragedy visited upon a group that is not considered a victim group or an oppressed group. People like me get on the stream, we get on Twitter, and we say, oh, the double standard. The double standard. There, well, look at what they did with the New Zealand mosque shooting. Look at what they did with the other stuff. But they don't treat us with the same respect. And look at who the media really is. Look at who they are. Look at their background. Doesn't that kind of tell you something? And we do this every time. What difference does it make? Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody's going to care until windows start being broken. I see what journalists do. It's been going on for decades, and everybody knows it. Nothing is done about it. Why? Because there's no accountability. Why should they change their behavior? They have their ideology. You know, they went to school, they studied journalism in some gay university, and they learned to hate white people and Christians. And then they moved to New York City, and they moved to D.C., and they advanced this hateful ideology. And this is the product of this. That's what we see in these kinds of articles. That's what's happening. Why should they cease what they're doing? They're basically winning. The demographic change is underway. They control the culture-making institutions. They control the news media. Pretty soon they're going to control the government forever. You know, people look and say, how can you say, people like Stephen Bonnell will say, how can you say the conservatives don't control media when you have talk radio and you won the Congress and the Senate? Yeah, why don't you wait 10 years when Texas goes blue? Why don't you wait 10 years when people even like myself are kicked offline? And we'll see. Democrats are starting to control everything. Why would they stop? Why would they stop? There's no incentive, right? I think the only way these things are going to stop, if they are going to stop, is either journalists are going to get it through their head that what they're doing is causing a lot of trouble. They're making a lot of people angry, a lot of people upset. They're closing off release valves for that frustration and anger. You know, maybe that kind of thing would be okay if you could go on YouTube and vent about it, and you could watch somebody like me and say, yeah, well, this guy gets it. But they're closing all the release valves. So they're making people very mad. People want to express themselves. They shut them down off Twitter. What do you think's going to happen next? What do you think's going to happen next? I think that's the direction the society's going in. So I look at what happens in Sri Lanka. What else is new? You want me to tell you the Christians are being persecuted across the world? Everybody knows that. The statistics show that. You see it yesterday on Sunday. You want me to tell you about the double standard? Yeah, it's pretty clear now. If you don't see it by now, you're never going to see it, right? How long have we been at this? How long has it been since the current year began, 2015, that people have been watching this hypocrisy, which is disgusting and hateful? How long have we been experiencing that, and how long have we been complaining? Okay, maybe it's time to try something new, right? Maybe it's time to try something new. This stuff is horrible. Christians should not be killed. And if they are, people should care. And people should care about who's killing them. If we care so much about Muslims and white nationalism, we're going to pretend to care about, religious hatred in general, and that happens. So what's new is this. This stuff is going to continue. This stuff is going to persist until people say enough and they take it seriously. No, I just don't see that happening. I don't see that in the cards. I don't know what the comparison would be in America to a Yellow Vest movement. I think people have it too good, frankly, in this country. You look at what happens in Europe when these things explode, or in Venezuela, for example, or in Brazil, or in the Middle East. It's because the conditions are bad. It's because people are hungry. It's because the weather's bad. It's because people are poor generally. When people have less to lose, they want to get out there. They want to get in the action. Then things have to change. The problem is in America, so long as somebody like Trump is in charge, keeping things going along, feeding people, and the economy's going up and so on, well, people just kind of passively accept this stuff. Yeah, it's a shame that journalists don't really care about Christian genocide. Yeah, that's a real bummer, but I got work in the morning, right? That's a real bummer, but yeah, I've got better things to do. I got to watch television. Got to catch Ozarks, or I got to catch whatever, Game of Thrones series finale. I'm just saying, unless our anger is felt, I'm saying unless people feel our anger, we light a fire under their asses. And I'm not saying like, at Donald Trump, but you promised something else. I'm not saying that. People are like, we have to pressure the president. I'm going to write a very strongly worded email. I'm going to call my representative and say, stay out of Syria, please, or I'll vote for Tulsi Gabbard. I'm saying people have to feel, because, otherwise what else is going to change, right? It's going to be more of the same. They're emboldened, actually. And I'll say this, aside from that kind of ominous, don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, I'm going to pivot here and say something nice. Look, we're all in this country together, right? Democrats are going to take over, okay? People of color are going to take over. We're entering into the multiracial age. I think everybody knows this. If it's going to work, now if they wanted to make it work, and I don't think they do, but if they do want to make it work, they would be wise to stop this kind of thing, right? They're terrified, and they say all the time that the number one impediment to our goals, which is the creation of this multiracial country, this multiracial utopia, is white nativism. That basically, once we start to see these demographic changes begin, which means that white population goes down below 50, people start to really experience diversity and so on, the number one threat to this project is that all the white people are going to get mad and revolt and so on. And I believe at this stage, that would probably be bad for everybody. I don't see that as succeeding. I don't see that as having a good outcome. I think you're just going to have a lot of disorder, right? So if you want to have a country where everybody's going to live together, right, and we're going to have to accept this system because that's the people that are in charge, they got to stop with this journalist type stuff. They can't have it all ways. That's the thing. If they could stop with this anti-white, anti-Christian stuff for maybe like 5 more years, I bet they could pull off this demographic and power transition a lot cleaner, a lot more smoothly. But they just can't help themselves. They can't help, but they're going to displace white people, genocide us in our own countries, watch while this stuff happens and insult us when people are exploded in countries and so on. And then they have to insult and humiliate and everything else. So be careful what you wish for. All these people talking about white nationalists, Nazis, violence, etc. Be careful what you wish for. I got to tell you, even myself, as moderate as I am, I'm a campus conservative. All I want is a free market and limited government, all right? I mean that, okay? Even people like myself, I didn't notice any of this stuff until it really got to be too over the top with the anti-white. You think I was somebody in high school? I was in a 95% white community. I was like a libertarian. You think I really had a reason to have a bone to pick about race in America? Of course not. But it got to the point where these people, they push and they push and they insult and they want to stick salt in the wound and they want to do it on days like today. And then they're going to wonder in 20 years when things start to break down and there's going to be a lot more people like me and a lot more people more radical than me. And they're going to wonder, gee, whatever went wrong? Why are all these people so hateful? I simply cannot explain it. Why do they hate journalists? Why do they hate this other group of people? What's going on? I'm so confused. Christians get exploded in the narrative as right-wing extremists are using this, and so on. So, it's tragic, and I don't know. I guess it's unfortunate that it has to become about all this stuff, that it becomes so meta. It's kind of interesting that, 10 years ago, something like this happens. What's the story? It's the story. It's, wow, who was killed? How did the events unfold? How can we prevent this? Who is responsible? What can we do about it? And then like 5 years ago, it was about the meta-narrative. It was about, well, Democrats are going to use this in this way. Republicans are going to use this in this way. They're going to use it to justify whatever. Now it's like meta. Now it's like things on top of things on top of things. Now something like this happens, and it's just like a data point in this like just cosmic struggle, right, against these two political factions in the country. So, just what do they tell you why you should feel guilty every day. Washington Post, one of the biggest papers in the country, owned by Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world. Their response to 207 Christians exploded on Easter Sunday. It's, this is really fueling far-right extremists in America. Yeah, okay. And we take it, and we take it every day. We just take it, and we take it, and we take it. And nothing's going to change until we say, we're not going to take it anymore. So apparently, the Jewish World Congress is very upset because in Poland on Easter Sunday, what they do is they do a ritual where they beat up an effigy of Judas who betrayed Jesus Christ, and that's an Easter tradition. So what they do is they get this guy, they dress him up like, Judas, who kissed Jesus, made him get crucified, and they beat up this effigy. Naturally, the World Jewish Congress is very upset by that. This is according to BBC. In the Pruchnik ritual, part of Roman Catholic Easter celebrations, children crowded around the effigy, beating it with sticks as adults dragged it through the streets. The mock Judas had a big red nose, black hat, and Orthodox-style ringlets. More than 3 million. Well, and here's the best part. They say that. And then what do they sum it up with in the BBC article? So that happens on Easter Sunday. More than 3 million Polish Jews were murdered during World War II. In total, Nazi Germany murdered about 6 million Jews in death camps in occupied Poland and killing fields of the former Soviet Union. I love it. I mean, it's just like, I don't love that. Don't get me wrong. I love just like, how do you not see this stuff? I don't get it. Am I crazy? Maybe I am, which has nothing to do with it. But am I a crazy nut job for like reading this article and being like, I must be the only sane person in the world? How do people not read this stuff and see everything that's happening? World Jewish Congress is upset that Polish Catholics are beating up an effigy of Judas Iscariot. Well, why are they upset? Why are they upset? They at once, it's blood libel. We didn't kill Jesus Christ. At the same time, all right, well, we'll beat up the guy that did kill Jesus. Hey, that's very offensive, And by the way, if you didn't know, what is the World Jewish Congress, you might be asking? Well, I'll read you from the Wikipedia page. I didn't know either. I've never heard of this before. The World Jewish Congress was founded in Geneva, Switzerland in August 1936 as an international federation of Jewish communities and organizations. According to its mission statement, the World Jewish Congress's main purpose is to act as, quote, the diplomatic arm of the Jewish people. The World Jewish Congress headquarters are in New York City, United States, and the organization maintains international offices in Brussels, Belgium, Jerusalem, Israel, Paris, France, Moscow, Russia, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Geneva, Switzerland. The WJC has special consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council. And of course, who is the president of the World Jewish Congress? Oh, it's Ronald S. Lauder. Ronald S. Lauder. Does that sound familiar? Ronald S. Lauder is an American businessman, art collector, and political activist. He is an heir to the Estee Lauder companies. Oh, that Ronald S. Lauder. And who else is in charge here? Who else is in charge? Chairman of the governing board is Robert Singer, and the chief executive officer is David de Rothschild, who is the head of the Rothschild banks in France. That's just random things. I'm just reading random things. I just like to read the news, okay? I just like to read the news. I read an article that says, hey, these Roman Catholics are beating up an effigy of Judas. The World Jewish Congress gets really upset. Who runs the World Jewish Congress? David Rothschild, Ronald S. Lauder. And later on in the article it says, oh, and by the way, did you know about the Holocaust? Yeah, I don't know. It must be me. It's me. I'm the crazy one. How can this be real? How is this actually happening in the real world? And everyone just, we'll just keep going to work, right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. If you're getting any interpretation about that, maybe you think that's, I'm suggesting something. Maybe you think I'm going in a certain direction. Don't make too many assumptions. I'm just a regular campus conservative, Afro-Latino. I love everybody, all right? I just think it's funny. And a cool, fun fact. I learned something new today. I learned that the World Jewish Congress is run by David Rothschild and Ronald S. Lauder. It's kind of a fun fact. Maybe you can impress your friends with that fun trivia fact. Next time you go to a party, dinner party, something like that. People are trading out their fun little trivia. Hey, did you know